I never thought a small piece of jewelry could carry so much weight, until the night I watched her slide it off her finger. You'd think an engagement ring is just gold, maybe a stone, something you can buy, replace, resize. But when you've poured years of your life, your heart, and every ounce of trust into it, seeing it left behind feels like someone ripped out a piece of you. I remember staring at her hand like my brain couldn't register what just happened. No fight, no yelling, not even a goodbye. She just twisted it, one slow turn at a time, and placed it on the counter. And then she walked away. I wanted to chase after her, to ask why, but my throat closed up. My heart felt heavier than lead. You don't prepare for that kind of silence. What made it worse was how sudden it all seemed. Just days before, we were laughing about wedding venues, arguing about whether the cake should be chocolate or vanilla. She leaned into me like nothing in the world could pull us apart. Or at least, that's what I thought. But maybe the cracks were there, tiny and invisible, and I was too blind to see them. I tried to tell myself maybe she just needed space. Maybe it was one of those things couples go through. But the truth was louder in my head. The truth was that the ring wasn't on her hand anymore, and I didn't know if it ever would be again. That night, I couldn't sleep. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw her walking out. I replayed it over and over, like a bad movie on repeat. My fingers traced the little box I once carried in my pocket, the same box I had pulled out when I asked her to spend forever with me. Now it felt like a cruel joke. But here's where things took a turn I never could have imagined. Because just when I thought the story was over, just when I convinced myself I had lost her for good, something happened. Something that made me question everything I thought I knew about love, loyalty, and family. It started with her sister. She came by the next morning, unannounced. I opened the door expecting awkward small talk, maybe an explanation on her behalf. Instead, her eyes went straight to the counter, straight to the ring. She didn't even try to hide the way she looked at it, like it was more than just jewelry, like it was something alive. And before I could even process what she was doing, before I could stop her, her sister picked it up. She turned it in her hand, like she was testing the weight of it. And then, without a word, she slipped it onto her finger. I swear, my heart skipped a beat. Because in that moment, I realized this story was far from over. Before I get into what happened with her sister, you need to understand how we even got here. Because on the surface, it all looked perfect. People saw us together and said we were that couple, the one everyone expected to make it. Her name was Emma. We met 3 years ago at a mutual friend's party, the kind of night you don't expect much from. I was leaning against the wall, trying to avoid small talk, when she walked in wearing this effortless smile. Not the kind of smile people put on for pictures, but the kind that makes you feel like you've known them forever. She talked to me first, and from that moment, it felt like the world tilted a little. Emma wasn't just beautiful, though she was, in that natural, understated way that made heads turn. She was kind. She had this way of making people feel important, like whatever you were saying mattered. She laughed easily, and sometimes she'd scrunch her nose when she did, which for some reason I found irresistible. Her sister, Lily, was different. Quieter, sharper, almost guarded. If Emma was sunlight, Lily was shadow. She noticed things others didn't. The way someone's eyes darted, the tone hidden beneath a word. I didn't know her as well, not at first. She was just Emma's younger sister who tagged along sometimes. But as the months turned into years, I started noticing something about her too. She was always watching. Emma and I fell hard, fast. We moved in together after a year, got engaged the next. The proposal was simple but perfect, just the two of us in the park where we had our first date. She cried. I shook like a fool, and when she said yes, it felt like my whole world snapped into place. For a while, everything really was that fairy tale people chase. But as the wedding planning went on, small cracks started to show. Emma became distant sometimes, brushing off my questions with, "I'm just stressed." I believed her, because what else could it be? Everyone says wedding stress is real. Still, there were moments when she'd look at me with this faraway expression, or when she'd leave the room after a text without explanation. That left me uneasy. I told myself not to overthink it. That's what trust is, right? Believing in someone even when you don't fully understand. Until the night she took the ring off. And then, the next morning, Lily standing in my doorway changed everything. Because the way she slipped that ring onto her finger, it wasn't hesitation, it wasn't curiosity. It was deliberate, like she had thought about this moment long before it happened. I wanted to ask her why. I wanted to snatch it back, but my voice caught in my chest, and she just looked at me with this expression I couldn't read. And in that silence, one thing became very clear. This wasn't just about Emma anymore. I couldn't stop staring at Lily's hand. That ring wasn't hers. It wasn't meant for her. Yet there it was, glinting on her finger like it belonged. My chest tightened, my brain firing with 100 questions I couldn't put into words. "Lily, what are you doing?" I finally managed to whisper. She didn't answer right away. She just looked down at the ring, turning her hand back and forth, like she was admiring it, like it was hers to admire. Then she lifted her eyes to mine and said softly, "It fits." Those two words rattled me more than if she'd shouted. It fits? Was that supposed to mean something? Was she mocking me? Was this some cruel game between sisters? I felt anger rising, but tangled with it was confusion, and underneath that, something darker. Because the way Lily looked at me in that moment wasn't the way someone looks at their sister's fiancé. It was too steady, too bold, almost daring me to react. I stepped forward, my voice shaking. "That's not yours." Her lips curved into the faintest smile, but her eyes stayed cold. Maybe not, but maybe it should have been. My stomach dropped. What did that even mean? My thoughts raced back over the years. Every family dinner, every holiday, every moment Lily had been nearby but silent. Had I missed something? Had she been harboring feelings all along? I wanted answers, but before I could press her, Emma appeared at the doorway. Her hair was messy, her eyes red like she hadn't slept. She froze when she saw us. Her gaze went straight to Lily's hand. The room went so quiet I swear I could hear my own heartbeat. "Lily," Emma said, her voice cracking, "take it off." But Lily didn't move. She just stood there, her hand still raised, the ring still catching the light. And for the first time, I saw Emma's face not in love, not in sadness, but in pure, raw fear. That was when it hit me. There was more to this than I understood. Something unspoken between them, something that had nothing to do with me, yet somehow, everything to do with me. And the worst part? Neither of them looked like they were about to explain. Emma's voice trembled as she repeated herself. "Lily, take it off." But Lily didn't move. Her hand hung in the air, the ring flashing between us like a signal, a challenge. The silence pressed against my chest, so heavy it almost hurt to breathe. I looked from one sister to the other, searching for some hint of what was really happening. But all I saw were two women locked in a stare so intense it felt like I had stepped into the middle of a storm that had been brewing long before I ever came along. "Why should I?" Lily finally asked, her voice calm, almost eerily steady. "You don't want it anymore. You walked away." Emma flinched. Her jaw tightened, as if she was holding back words she didn't want me to hear. My mind spun out of control. Why would her sister say that? How could she know? Unless Emma had told her. "Stop it, Lily," Emma said sharply, her voice breaking. "You don't understand." "Oh, I understand perfectly." Lily's words cut through the room like glass. "You've always had everything. Everything handed to you. Everything I could never touch. And now you're throwing this away too." She tilted her head toward me, and her eyes met mine in a way that made my stomach twist. "Maybe it's my turn." I froze. My turn? What did that mean? The air felt electric, like something was about to explode. Emma's eyes filled with tears. "Don't do this." That was when I realized Emma wasn't angry. She was scared. Not just of what Lily was doing, but of what I might learn if this went any further. She reached out a trembling hand toward her sister, but Lily pulled back like the touch would burn her. "Tell him the truth," Lily said, her voice rising now, almost shaking with emotion. "If you don't, I will." My heart thudded against my ribs. The truth? What truth? I looked at Emma, desperate for her to explain, to give me anything, but she just stared at the floor. I took a step forward, my voice raw. "Emma, what is she talking about?" Emma's lips parted, but no sound came out. She glanced at me, then back at Lily, like she was trapped, like no matter what she said, it would destroy everything. Lily's face hardened. "You owe him that much." The tension was unbearable. Every nerve in my body screamed for an answer, but Emma's silence told me the revelation waiting to drop wasn't something simple. It was something that would change everything. Emma finally lifted her eyes to mine, tears streaming down her face. She opened her mouth to speak, but before the words left her lips, the front door creaked open, and all three of us froze. The creak of the door cut through the tension like a knife. Slowly, it swung open, and standing there was the last person I expected to see. It was their mother. But she wasn't shocked. She didn't gasp at the sight of Emma in tears or Lily wearing the ring. Instead, she looked resigned, like she had been expecting this moment all along. Her eyes flicked from Emma to Lily, then finally settled on me. "He still doesn't know, does he?" she asked quietly. My chest tightened. "Know what?" Emma's face went pale. Lily's jaw set, defiant. And in that instant, I understood, whatever secret they were hiding, it wasn't just between sisters. Their whole family was tangled in it. Their mother sighed heavily, closing the door behind her. "You should have told him years ago." The air shifted. Years ago? My head spun as Emma finally spoke, her voice breaking. Because if he knew, he'd realize he wasn't meant to be with me at all. The room seemed to tilt. My mind raced with questions, but one thought drowned them all out. If not Emma, then who? The room felt like it was collapsing in on itself. Emma's words echoed in my head. I wasn't meant to be with her at all. My mouth went dry. My legs felt weak. I turned to Emma, desperate for clarity. "What do you mean? What are you talking about?" Her lips trembled as she spoke. "It was never supposed to be me. The night we met, the night you thought you bumped into me at that party." She swallowed hard. "It wasn't an accident. It was Lily you were supposed to meet. Our friend introduced me instead, because she thought I'd be better for you." My pulse roared in my ears. Lily stood frozen, eyes locked on Emma, her hands still tight around the ring. "You knew?" she whispered, voice trembling with rage. Emma nodded, tears spilling down her cheeks. "I knew, and I kept it from you both. I thought if I loved him enough, maybe it wouldn't matter." The truth hit me like a wave. Everything, our relationship, our engagement, suddenly felt built on sand. I stared at Lily, who looked shattered, and for the first time, I saw not jealousy but years of silence, of being overlooked, of a love she never got to claim. But before I could process, Lily's face hardened. She stepped closer, her voice low, dangerous. "Then maybe it's time he chooses for himself." The room spun, Emma sobbing, Lily trembling, their mother watching like she'd seen it all before. I opened my mouth, but no words came out. How do you choose between the life you built and the truth you were never supposed to know? And then, just as I thought I had to decide, Emma reached for the ring. Not to take it back, but to push Lily's hand closer to me. "If it was always supposed to be her," Emma whispered through tears, "then maybe I was just keeping him warm for you." My heart stopped, because in that moment, I didn't know if Emma was giving up or setting a trap neither of us could escape. The weight of the moment pressed down on me, so hard I could barely breathe. Emma's words, Lily's stare, their mother's silence. It all blurred together into one impossible choice. My heart pulled in two directions, but underneath the chaos, one truth became painfully clear. No ring, no promise, no family secret could decide this for me. I had to. I looked at Lily first. Her eyes burned with years of longing, of being the shadow in every room her sister lit up. I finally saw her pain, not anger for me, but anger at a lifetime of being second place. She wanted me, yes, but more than that, she wanted proof that she mattered. Then I turned to Emma, the woman I had built a life with. She had lied, yes, but not out of cruelty, out of fear. Fear that if the truth came out, I'd walk away. And maybe she was right. Maybe I would have. For the longest moment, no one spoke. The ring glimmered between us, like it was daring me to reach out. But instead of choosing, I stepped back. "I can't do this," I said, my voice cracking. "Not like this. Not with secrets between us. Not with love twisted into something it was never meant to be." Emma gasped softly, her tears falling harder. Lily's lips parted like she wanted to protest, but the words didn't come. Even their mother just lowered her gaze, as if she'd been waiting for this outcome all along. I took the ring gently from Lily's hand. Her fingers lingered for a second before letting go, and I placed it back into its box. For the first time, it didn't feel like a symbol of love. It felt like a weight lifted. "This ring doesn't belong to either of you right now," I said quietly. "It belongs to a version of me who thought he had all the answers. But today, I learned I don't." Emma covered her face, her shoulders shaking. Lily turned away, her jaw tight, her eyes glassy. And me? I walked to the door. My legs felt heavy, but my heart, lighter, somehow. Because sometimes closure isn't about getting the ending you expected. Sometimes it's about finding the courage to walk away from the ending you don't deserve. I didn't know what the future held. Maybe one day Emma and I would talk again, without the lies. Maybe Lily would find someone who saw her first, not as someone's sister, but as herself. Maybe I'd find a love built not on secrets, but on truth. But for now, all I knew was this. The story wasn't about a ring after all. It was about realizing love can't survive in the shadows. And as I closed the door behind me, I finally understood. Sometimes the bravest choice isn't who you hold on to. It's who you're willing to let go.